Good evening, everybody. It is Hugo Quintanilla here with another live. Happy Sunday. I hope everyone is having a great day. I am your realtor, Hugo. Like my website says, I am licensed in Maryland with Long and Foster, North Potomac, Rockville. If you would like to leave a comment, send a text, get a hold of me. My phone number is 240-389-4846. My email is hugo@lnf.com. And my website is yourrealtorhugo.com. As always, it is my pleasure to have you live on YouTube and on Facebook and also on Instagram today. So if you are interested in catching the replays, please check out the YouTube channel at Hugo for Long and Foster, and of course the TikTok and everything else that we got going on at Hugo for Long and Foster. So today you're going to get two lives, guys. You're going to get a news live, the weekend review, the top 10 real estate related news stories of the week, and you're also gonna be getting day number 7 in the ultimate home selling guide. So tune into that a little bit later on today, but I did want to get this out of the way because we have a lot of news, even though it hasn't been a very busy news week. And that's a lot to do because of just New Year's, and we're coming off of the holiday. A lot of people have been traveling, a lot of people have been moving around, but it has not stopped real estate from causing news to happen. So some of the news stories that we're going to be covering today are predominantly going to be coming from NAR.realtor and also Rise Media. So they will be having an event at the end of the week that I will talk about. That will actually be one of our big news stories. That's the one of the biggest events of the new year. It has tons of speakers, and if you haven't signed up yet, please feel free and check it out. I believe it's only open to the real estate industry, but you never know. Tickets are available, so feel free, and if you can buy a ticket, attend. It is really worthwhile. I've always learned a lot every year that I've gone, and yeah, it's a great lineup this year. So today's first story is going to be pending home sales recorded no change in November, and that one's from NAR, the National Association of Realtors. And they reported that pending home sales in November remained stagnant compared to October. While the Northeast, Northwest, and West regions saw monthly increases in transactions, the South experienced a decline. However, all 4 U.S. regions witnessed a decrease in transactions compared to the previous year. And that's a lot to do with just there not being enough inventory. The key highlights of that article are the pending home sales index, the PHSI, a forward looking indicator of home sales based on contract signings, maintained its level at 71.6 in November. Year over year, pending transactions decreased by 5.2%. So, regional breakdown: Northeast's PHSI rose by 0.8% to 64.4, down 6.4% from November 2022. The Midwest's index increased by 0.5 to 76.2, a change of 2.2 on the way down. For the South, it was 2.3, a decline to 83.2 in November, marking a 6.5% decrease from the prior year. And the West indexed a climb of 4.2 to 54, and it actually had fallen compared to the previous year as well. And that was by 4.9% from 2022. And Lawrence Yun wanted to highlight that while declining mortgage rates didn't result in more homebuyer contracts in November, they sparked increased interest, noticeably through higher lockbox openings. We're having tons of showings. The traffic on my rental has been crazy, and I'm pretty sure anybody else that has a listing is seeing tons of foot traffic if the property is priced correctly and well maintained. Yoon predicted that with further reductions in mortgage rates in December, leading to monthly savings of around $300 from recent rate peaks, home sales would likely improve in 2024. So, I'm sorry, I miswrote that. Yoon predicted that with further reductions in mortgage rates in December, the leading savings would probably be about $300. So that basically translates to quite a bit for some people. And that can be the difference that's stopping some from actually going into the market and changing into a new home or trading out the great rates that they had from earlier in the last 5 years. So, if you're not aware, NAR, the National Association of Realtors, they represent about 1.5 million members engaged in residential and commercial real estate. The term realtor is actually identifies a real estate professional subscribing to NAR's strict code of ethics. And really, NAR is a huge advocate for realtors as well as consumers. So I just bring that up because someone brought that up to me the other day. They didn't really know what NAR was. Obviously not someone from the industry, but it's I forget sometimes that this is not common knowledge to have this stuff readily available. But so something to keep in note is that we are definitely going to be seeing a decrease in rates for next year. At least that's what the forecast is looking like. At least three rate decreases. But we will see. December 2023's luxury market report by the industry of luxury home marketing is out, and this analyzes the real estate trends in Canada and the United States. Evaluates key statistics including sold property numbers, new inventory, sold prices, and sold price to list price ratios. The Canadian market has been out of this world. If you think the supply and demand in the US has been tough, with all the sales and supply and demand that's been going on in Canada, they've been actually creating new legislation. So is quite a story to look into those markets. I have seen a few special reports on them, and it is quite amazing to see. A huge boom in the real estate market up there. Compared to the same period in 2022, there's an optimistic change in the current market, despite no month over month sales increase. Emphasis on the significance of consumer sentiment and its potential impact on future market performance. Exploration of economics predictions regarding mortgage rates in 2024 and their influence on market rebound or challenges if they drop too rapidly. No one wants to see a rapid change, and that's really what makes the difference between a soft landing and a hard landing. How fast do things go up or down? So it's going to be interesting to see how these other things go into play. We're talking about the job market, mm, the of course the political race, and then also the real estate and the housing industry and supply and demand with rates. Another story that we had this week was how 2023 shaped up for buyers and sellers. The article talked about despite post pandemic challenges persisting in the housing market and economy, a correction began towards the end of 2023. Americans maintain optimism for achieving their goals in 2024, with a significant percentage aiming to buy homes next year. And I can tell you, I have had more consultations in the last 2 weeks than I probably did in the last 3 months of 2023. Financial constraints hinder homeownership, with reasons including insufficient down payment, high home prices, and elevated interest rates. The disparity between rising home prices, 162% increase in some places, and slower income growth, 78% increase in some places, makes homes less affordable. Affording a home today requires an average income of around $166,000, while a median household income stands at $74,000. The average house price to income ratio is 5.8, more than double the recommended 2.6, affecting affordability across major metros. Raising home prices result in Americans paying more for less space, with the median price per square foot for single family homes increasing significantly. And I can tell you, in just some of my local markets here in Montgomery County, we almost saw a $600 increase in some rentals. And it was almost across the board. It was like overnight, you just saw everyone start to increase their prices. Home buying became more challenging than expected due to financial reasons, leading to increased stress amongst buyers. Selling a home in 2023 was more challenging than in the previous year, with a cooling market indicated by fewer homes selling within a month. And that was truly the biggest challenge of last year, was that if you did get a listing and did sell it, were you selling it at a competitive price to get the best value for your listing? Or were you just selling it and trying to see if you can negotiate your way to top dollar? It was very difficult to get those bidding wars last year. But with good agents around, it was still done. So, there's still hope for everybody. A significant portion of home sellers aim to earn more but were dissatisfied with their profits, with many making less than $50,000 on their return, on their sale. So, something to think about with what happened last year. Was not as profitable as many had hoped, but $50,000 is not anything to shy away at. So, another story from this past week was mortgage rates move sideways as market digests incoming data. The 30-year fixed rate mortgage remained relatively stable, averaging 6.6 this week compared to slight decline to 6.61 the previous week. The 15-year fixed rate mortgage averaged 5.89%, down from last week's average of 5.93%, and higher than the 15-year that was at 5.73% a year ago. Experts note that rates have remained mostly flat recently as the market processes incoming economic information. And the new term of vibe economy has really been very prevalent and talked about. And it's all about this notion of how the consumer feels in the economy, talking more about the economy and how stocks will do and the economy as a whole will do than actual data, which is fundamentally what we have always used to predict and try to measure success in the future. So the feelings, the public perception that's there is at times been more powerful than the actual truth of what's happening in the market. So it's going to be interesting to see how the vibe economy develops in the next few years as we have more of an intertwined mix of social media and news and just everything kind of being a global collective consciousness. There's an anticipation of further downward movement in the mortgage rates throughout the next year, and due to expected rate cuts by the Federal Reserve and decreased inflationary pressures. Like I said, we're expecting at least 3 cuts for next year, so we will see if they happen. The recent decline in rates may motivate buyers, with a survey indicating that some prospective buyers consider rates below 7% feasible for home purchases, while others hold out for rates below 6 or even 4. Pending home sales stabilized at record low levels, attributed to mortgage rates above 7% in November. Future rate declines depend on cooling, inflation, and employment data. So we will see what happens there. Another story, number I think 5 for this week, was how mortgage rates affected home affordability in 2023. And that, doesn't really go too much to say if you've been watching the show or you've been listening for any amount of time, that mortgage rates were one of the biggest challenges last year. In 2023, despite a downward trend in mortgage rates, there was a significant impact on homeowner affordability. Two key areas affected were buying power, the home buyer's budget and square footage, the size of a affordable home. A report from Point Two highlighted shifts in these aspects across various cities in the country. And point two basically said that with the buying power being impacted and the square footage being impacted, these were their key findings. In large cities across the country, the average 2023 home seeker could afford approximately $3,100 less on a home compared to the previous year. Top five cities experiencing the biggest losses in buying power included Lincoln, Nebraska, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Kansas City, Missouri, and Wichita, Kansas. Square footage impacted. The average living space affordable to buyers decreased in 61 large cities compared to the previous year. Cities witnessing the largest losses in square footage included Detroit, Michigan, Tulsa, Oklahoma again, Wichita, Kansas, Lincoln, Nebraska, and Toledo, Ohio. These findings emphasize the challenges faced by homebuyers in terms of reduced affordability in both budget and living space. For further details and the complete report, you got to check out the link, and it has a complete breakdown of what everything has basically been changing and how quickly it's been changing. That's nothing to scoff at. That's tons of money that's being no longer there in square footage. You know, when you can afford less, it's at a point where do you even want to move in that town anymore? And we see it all the time. We see it in New York, we see it in a lot of these major metropolitan areas, but to see it in some of the smaller cities, that's where we really see the squeeze, because where else do you go now that you can't go into these affordable homes? So it's going to be very interesting to see what the response is going to be, not just from the market, but also from the government. News story number six: NAR advocates for private property rights before the Supreme Court. And the National Association of Realtors has submitted two friend of the court briefs in support of property owners facing constitutional violations of the Fifth Amendment. These cases pending before the Supreme Court highlight situations where property owners have been subject to unjust government actions impacting their property rights. The first case was Sheets versus County of El Dorado, California. In the case, a homeowner paid a mandatory fee for a land use permit, even though the fee was unrelated to the planned development. This fee could inflate real estate costs and impose burdens on property owners. NAR's amicus brief advocates for a robust interpretation of the Fifth Amendment's takings clause to safeguard private property rights for unjust government regulation. And then they have De, De Villiers, De Villiers versus Texas. Forgive me if I mispronounced that. Property owners affected by Texas highway project faced widespread flooding without avenues to seek compensation for the damages. They argued that the takings clause applied to the state via the Fourth Amendment. Excuse me. The U.S. Court of Appeals dismissed the lawsuit against the state, raising the question of whether individuals can seek redress under the takings clause of the Fifth Amendment when their property is taken without compensation. NAR's amicus brief, filed alongside various real estate organizations, aimed to protect property owners' rights and seek clarity regarding compensation in cases of government action impacting property. So it's the takings clause is very interesting, and when it's applied in the modern day, it can have a lot of implications. So as you can see, we already have a lot of stuff happening, not just in California, but also in Texas. And NAR will be, I guess, helping out to help protect private property owners' rights and giving their 2 cents on that. So we will see how that goes. News story number 7 for this week is mortgage mix from Rise Media. Yet another cyber attack. Fed stokes 2024 worries. And this one was by Jesse Williams from Rise Media. Redfin reports savings. Recent declining mortgage rates have resulted in nearly $400 in monthly savings for potential home buyers, according to Redfin. However, despite the rate drop, there's been no substantial no sustainable increase in demand as mortgage applications, including both refinances and purchase loans, fell by 9% this week. There are legal disputes. Movement Mortgage. The legal battles between Movement Mortgage and former employees continues to escalate. A former sales executive claims that the company promised uncapped commissions before re reneging on the deal when he before reneging on the deal when he earned too much money. Gotta love that. Movement is suing former employees accused of stealing confidential information for their new employer. Can you believe that? The Federal Reserve's outlook. Despite Wall Street's anticipation of multiple rate cuts by the Federal Reserve in 2024, the minutes from the December meetings offered a more cautious view. Fed members expressed concerns about the uneven economic recovery and hinted at the possibility of higher rates. Changes in Rocket's branding. Rocket, the largest lender in the country, is restructuring its branding efforts by appointing a new chief marketing officer, Jonathan Meldelhall, previously associated with Peloton and Airbnb. Cybersecurity breaches. A mortgage subservicer owned by Fidelity National Financial and Loan Care disclosed that 1.3 million customers had their data exposed in a cyber attack in November. So that's Loan Care. If you are at all familiar with Loan Care, a company owned by Fidelity National Financial, 1.3 million customers had their data exposed. The breach detected about a month ago is being managed in collaboration with law enforcement. This incident closely followed a larger breach involving 14 million customers at Mr. Cooper. The mortgage mix is actually something that talks about current events. Um, and it's just kind of like the ins and outs of mortgage news. So check out the mortgage mix when you get a chance. Really cool articles over there. Number 8, unemployment rate remains unchanged at 3.7%. The overview of the article is basically that the U.S. added about 216,000 jobs in December, maintaining an unemployment rate of 3.7%, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics latest employment situation summary. This rate stood higher compared to December 2022, where the rate was 3.5%, and the number of unemployed persons was 5.7 million. All right. And number, I think this is 8 or 9. That was 8. So this is number 9. NAR voices concerns over proposal to rescind association's health plan regulations. The U.S. Department of Labor proposed to rescind the 2018 association's health plans final regulations, which aim to allow real estate professionals and other small businesses to participate in an AHP association health plan. The proposed change means self-employed individuals and smaller businesses would remain limited to Affordable Care Act markets, while unlike larger businesses accessing more comprehensive health care coverage through larger group markets. NAR stance. NAR's president Tracy Casper expressed disappointment with the proposed OL decision, emphasizing that AHPs offer high quality, low cost health coverage, options for employees of small businesses and self employed individuals, including real estate professionals, which the majority of us are. The proposal follows a 2019 federal district court decision that struck down part of the 2018 AHP rule, allowing real estate professionals and other self employed individuals to join AHPs. NARs supported the previous administration's appeal against the ruling, but noted that the current administration intends not to proceed with that appeal. Despite the disappointment, NAR pledged to continue fighting against the proposal, and it's working towards develop multiple industry comments opposing the rescinding. So they are fighting it. And hopefully there is something that is done about that, because that will impact tons of professionals. And, we are all self employed, and really healthcare is something that should be, paramount to everybody. So, and last but not least, we have the biggest party of the year. If you guys are not registered, please register. The industry's premier virtual event is happening Thursday. Claim your free ticket now. Event details: this is the real estate rocking in the new year. New year, new mindset. The date is going to be January 11th, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So clear off your schedule, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be a virtual event at rocking.risemedia.com. The event overview: Rise Media is hosting an exclusive virtual event featuring over 50 top notch industry professionals, including brokers, agents, and experts. This event aims to equip participants with essential tools, strategies to thrive in the evolving real estate landscape in 2024. Some highlights are going to be John Featherston's perspective. A CEO of Rise Media, John Featherston's emphasizes the opportunities this event presents for real estate professionals to leave behind the challenges of 2023 and refocus their efforts for a successful 2024, something I think we can all get behind. Events focus is going to be participants can expect critical updates on the residential real estate market, valued insights, and strategies from industry leaders. As a Bright MLS Rise Premier member, attendees can claim a complimentary ticket. So if anybody is a Bright MLS member, please make sure to get your ticket as soon as possible. Okay, some featured speakers and sessions are going to be getting ahead of lawsuits, preparation for compensation, conversations with Jessica Edgerton, Chief Legal Officer and Executive Vice President of leading real estate companies of the world, seizing market opportunities, insights from Brian Buffini, Chairman and Founder of Buffini and Company. Economic forecast for 2024. I'm sorry. Dr. Lisa Sturdivant, chief economist at Bright MLS, delves into the potential trends and developments in the economy for the next year. And to register, it's all online and free. So please make sure and check that out, and just go ahead and type in Rise Media, RIS Media. And as a premier member, if you are part of the Bright MLS family, you do get a ticket. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the top 10 real estate news stories of the week in my eyes that I think mattered. As I said, it was a pretty quiet week. A lot of talk about rates in the next year, a lot of looking back in retrospect. Probably this next coming week, you're going to see a lot of people talking about the future and for 24. So, take everything with a grain of salt. Do your own research, work with a professional, work with local professionals. And if you have any questions, I'm always here to help, because I am your realtor, Hugo. So if you have any questions, I am Hugo Quintanilla. This has been your Real Estate Live, recapping the top 10 real estate news stories of the week. My phone number is 240-389-4846. If you have any comments, questions, texts, and my email is hugo@lnf.com if you have a news story or something you would like to highlight or feedback. And my website is yourrealtorhugo.com. I appreciate all of you tuning in. Please stay tuned for later on in the day. I'm probably going to come back on and do day number 7 of the home selling guide. But I really did love to do these real estate news recaps for you. So we're going to keep these going on Sundays. So if you have any questions, any suggestions, please feel free and leave them. Appreciate you guys. Check out the lives on YouTube and the recaps on there as well. And I will see you later today. Take care. Bye.